All right, hi. This is the first video from the JT Customs Patreon. Thank you guys for the support. Thanks everybody who signed up so far. It's going well. And so I want to do this little intro thing as to what you can expect. And I wanted to give a little sneak peek of this camera. I have it on a stationary thing, but this is my current lab of disaster here of shit that I'm working on. So you can get an idea of, yeah, that looks weird, right? That looks legit as fuck. That's glue on Malin to a friend. Anyway, I promised some kind of behind the scenes videos. And so I don't want to give away the full process because that's lame, right? That's a dumb fucking idea for me to show you fully how the sausage is made. But what I'm going to try and do is kind of give some insight because I didn't know how to paint. I didn't know how to sculpt. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff before I started messing around with these toys. And so I kind of taught myself. So I figured I'd share a little bit of technique like I'm some sort of pro. I'm not. Fucking just a DIY nerd. So I'm currently working on this kind of Phantasm, the Tall Man. I'm doing 2 sets of big figures from the Phantasm series, which are bananas. If you've never seen Phantasm, watch it. Don't expect clarity. Don't expect a whole lot of plot, but it sure is creepy and weird and fucking cool. And the Tall Man, Angus Scrimm, was the name of the actor. Which good name, Angus Scrimm. Met him once. He was the nicest guy ever. I've met a lot of horror actors, and I would have to say Angus Scrimm was probably the most down-to-earth and the coolest motherfucker. He passed away a few years ago, but man, what a generous dude. I remember asking him for his autograph because it was kind of an informal setting where I saw him. And then I offered him, some money. I said, how much, for your autograph after he had given it to me? And he said, I would never charge you money for my autograph. I'm just so glad that you care. And he meant it. It wasn't in like that Bono kind of way where it's like, oh, thank you. It means so much that you're a patron. It was like down to earth, legitimate. He was just incredibly gracious and just happy someone gave a shit that he was in this cult movie. So he was really, really cool. And it was sad that we lost him. But I'm currently working on a giant 15-inch figure for the Tall Man. So this is the outfit that I've painstakingly put together. His tie is here. And because I'm not an adult, I don't know how to tie a tie. I don't know. Every funeral I go to or wedding, I have to have someone else tie my tie for me. Sometimes it's my dad, which is a nice kind of nostalgic kind of thing because he's been tying ties for me since, I don't know, junior prom or some shit like that. But I'm going to have to figure out how to tie this tie because I ordered it and it came like so. I'll figure it out. But this is the body of the Tall Man. You can see right here, the hand is adjustable, and that's going to be where the kill you through the fucking head ball is going to be, which is this. I don't know if that's going to show up well. See that? All right. And I've got to finish making that. Of course, I have to put the blades on it and all that sort of stuff. So this is a work in progress as well. But eventually the ball will go in his hand, like so, as it falls and cracks. You get the idea. And then he's got this kind of come hither boy hand. So that's the body in progress. And an important thing when you're doing these big characters is I use a special game color. It's for like D&D miniatures. I'm a huge D&D nerd, but I never fucked with the miniatures. I kind of thought it made it too board gamey for me when I was younger. So I never messed with that. But a lot of people use miniatures now. And this game color, pale flesh. Pale flesh. That's what that says. I don't know if it's probably not. It's a stationary phone right now, so that's probably not coming into focus. But that says pale flesh. And pale flesh on the reason I use miniature paint as opposed to most of my other paints, which are just these kind of acrylics, is that miniature paint fills in the grooves on the faces of these things because it's made for pewter miniatures and stuff like that. So it tends to fill in like metallic areas. And so you get more detail. Whereas acrylic paint, if you use a brush, it can kind of see these lines on my head. That's from stress. That's from 2020. But these things, right? If I use basically acrylic and I paint over this, it goes like that. That's how the end result is. If I use this pale flesh miniature paint for skin tone, I paint over this. When it's done, it dries like this. It fills in well. So that's what I use. And I always have to remember to do it on the hands and stuff as well of these guys, because I always paint the face models, the face sculpts with that stuff. And so sometimes if you're not paying attention, you can put a head like this guy, Angus Scrimm, that I'm just finishing up painting now. So that's what he's looking like, Angus, with the hair tone. And you see how you can see all the ridges in his face and all the detail. That's part putty knife, and then hoping that this paint doesn't fuck up all the work you did. So, so far so good. But sometimes, I haven't attached him yet, obviously, but you put, you know, the finished head on the body, and if you don't pay attention, you have a fucking different colored flesh tone hands, and then he just looks like some weird Michael Jackson motherfucker. So you got to be aware of that when you're painting these things. There was one figure that I packaged up, and fortunately, the new packaging I have is you can open and close it, but I realized, I said, dude, they have different color fucking fingers. He was one of the characters from The Thing during the John Carpenter week. So anyway, that's just some insight into some of the stuff that I use. And also, not a lot of people, because I haven't had any sort of back and forth regarding this stuff, because I try not to share too much of it. But you're in the Patreon now, so this is the inside scoop, motherfuckers. One of the things that I struggled with when I first started to learn how to paint, and I still don't know very well, but is different tones of hair. So you see, you know, he's got silvery hair, but you can take just, you know, silver. What I got? This enamel is what I use, this sterling silver, right? It's got a nice kind of sheen to it. It's not quite a gloss, but it's sheeny. Sheeny? It's Derek Sheeny. And so what I did was I painted his hair white first, and then I took a medium-sized brush, which of course I should have around, and I don't, but like this. It was like a medium-sized brush, right? That is pretty fresh. You can't have it. Like some of these things get real, you got paint stuff gets toned down, right? So it gets sharpened and dull after you've used it a few times. This is pretty new, and so it's kind of still brushy. A brushy brush. Fucking, I'm not a professional. But you take a brushy brush, and after you have the white base dried, right? Then I'll take some of that silver, put the brush on it, and then I will swipe it down on a piece of newspaper or cardboard. So you don't want a full thing of paint on it. You want very light amount of paint on it, right? And then I'll just kind of scatter over like that, and it creates the end effect of like waves of real hair. Because if you had a full thing of silver, it's just gonna bleh, right? You're gonna have a fucking stripe. That doesn't look good. But if you use just after it's dabbed on the newspaper with this brand new brush where it's still flowing and effervescent, and you just lightly brush over his head and adjust for men style. We want his wisdom, but we need his experience, and we need his youthful exuberance. Well, that's why Just for Men offers you the best of all three worlds. But the end result is this. You get kind of streaks of the silver, right? That looks kind of cool. You can see my hand shaking there. That's not from withdrawals. I have something called essential tremor, where you see my finger? See how it kind of dips? Yeah, it's a neurological thing. I thought for a hot minute that it was something delightful, a la Back to the Future. And so I had to go get checked out by a neurologist a few years ago. They're like, no, it's just essential tremor. It's a common thing. It doesn't get worse than this. Strangely enough, the thing that helps it is booze. If you drink alcohol, this will go away, which if you've turned into the road live more than once, you may have noticed, wow, his fingers don't move at all. Not that you would be looking at my fingers like a fucking weirdo. But if that's what that is. It's not the DTs. So that also is a fun challenge with painting because I don't have the steadiest of hands. So it takes me a longer time to kind of get effects like this, especially when I'm working on smaller figures, which... Another sneak peek here. Also, on a future episode of these, I'll show how I do the eyes, because the eyes were a really hard thing to figure out on the larger figures, especially because it's really easy to make them look cross-eyed or just have them look not good or too white. So there's a lot of different technique that went into getting the eyes right on these figures. And when this guy's done and all packaged up, I'll show you the end result. And also, you'll get first look at the other Phantasm figures that I'm working on as well. I'm making 2 giant Phantasm figures, but this is the tall man, so that's a sneak peek on that. The other figure that will be dropping tomorrow being Friday, is I made, from the film My Own Private Idaho, I made River Phoenix. Pretty good. I'm kind of happy with him. He's pretty cool. And the packaging will look nice. I'm working on the finalized packaging tonight. So he'll be in the store tomorrow, let's say around 3 p.m. Central Time. All right, so I'm not going to announce that to anybody. I'll put it in the Facebook group probably around 3:15. But because you're in the Patreon, and thank you for your support, and all the goodies, the stickers and the T-shirts and all the shit that are promised will be going out shortly after the first week in February. I'm waiting on some magnets and stuff to arrive back in, so check your mail after that. But that River Phoenix character from My Own Private Idaho will be going in the store tomorrow, Friday, whatever the date is tomorrow, in the year of our Lord, with Trump gone. Kick rocks. Yeah, it's a good day. It's a good week. That'll be in the store tomorrow at 3 p.m.-ish Central Time. And again, it'll be in the store before I announce it around 3:15, 3:20 to the general world. So it'll be your chance to scoop it. And thanks so much for all your support. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this wasn't too boring of a first kind of how-to session. And I'll be posting these periodically. So have a good evening and enjoy not having to check the news.